Good day, everyone. My name is Angelica TEREC, and this is my submission for laboratory exercise 1. So, in this activity, I will demonstrate two Java programs. The first program stores student information with using an array, and the second program stores student information without using an array. And after showing both programs, I will explain the differences, the advantages of arrays, and what programming might like be if arrays did not exist. So let's look at the first program, which uses an array. At the top of the program, I created a student class, and this class contains four fields: string name, int age, global GPA, and string grade level. For these fields, it represents the information we want to collect for each student. And inside the main method, here, I declared array of 10 students. And this line means we are creating space to hold 10 student objects. And next, I used a for loop to input data for each student. And for every iteration, I created a new student object and asked the user to enter the name, the age, the GPA, and the grade level. So this ensures that all students' information is stored inside the array. And finally, I display the output using a for each loop. So this line of codes. This is called an enhanced for loop. And instead of using an index like students, then an index of the loop automatically takes each student object one by one and assign it to the variable student. And then I simply print the details. So this makes the code clean, easy to read, and less to prone of mistakes like index errors. And the next program, we will talk about a program which does not use an array. So in this program, I still created a class of student 2 with the same fields, name, age, the GPA, and the grade level. But instead of one array of 10 students like what we did here, a program with an array, here in the second program, I had to manually declare 10 separate variables. So, to enter information of each student, I had to repeat the same code block again and again. For example, I entered details for only S1, but in reality, I would need to write the same input code 9 more times for all the other students. So, when displaying the output here, I also have to print each student one by one, and there is no simple loop that can process them all together. So, this clearly shows how repetitive and inefficient programming becomes without arrays. So, to sum it all, or to brief down the difference of program with an array and without an array. So in the first program, I used an array of student objects, and array let me store the multiple students in a simple variable. In a single variable, and I was able to use a loop to input and display information efficiently. And this makes the program concise and scalable. And in the second program, I had to create separate variables for each student, and this led to repetitive code. And if I needed more students, I would need even more variables and repeated code. So it is inefficient and difficult to maintain. So for me, the main advantage of arrays is that they allow us to store multiple values on the same type in one structure. And with arrays, I can use loops for input, output, and in the processing. And arrays make program shorter, clean, and easier to maintain. So I will discuss the implications if arrays were never implemented in programming languages. So if arrays never existed, programming would be much harder, and we would need to declare separate variables for every piece of data, like what I did to my 10 students. So, which is repetitive and error prone. So, processing large data sets, like for example, I need a data of 100 students or even 1,000 of records. So, it would become almost impossible. And for me, arrays are a fundamental tool that make data management efficient and practical. So, that's it. Arrays are one of the most important features in programming, and they allow us to manage collections of data efficiently. It saves time and reduce errors. So this activity showed me that how programming languages have evolved to include useful features like arrays, which continue to be valuable in modern development. So if we will run this one, it will ask a detail, then age, then the GPA, 1.2. For example, I am a third year student. Then I need to put also another name for my student number two. And here in my first program, which uses an array, just the same output. But if we looked at our code, it's easier to read student array example compared to student that no array example. And again, it is more easier to use, especially if we will talking or if we will process a large data sets of data. So thank you.